When I first read the script, for me it was quite exciting because it was full of anything you could dream of. I mean, it was science fiction, plus a little gore, little creatures, all melded together. I mean, that's quite exciting for a production designer because you now can open up your mind to all kinds of things.
With my help, just imagine what you can achieve.
I think for Paul Austerbury, this was a big challenge to create some of the sets that we had in this film. The designs and the ideas that he had was something that I don't know if you could read my mind. It was almost exactly what I was expecting.
When we're researching the movie, we basically cut a lot of pictures together and start presenting ideas in relationship to the script and various locations in the game. There was a lot of good stuff in the game that we could just take a look at, study, and then try to find similar locations, or take the idea behind that scene in the game and develop it based on our script and the locations that we found. The first film was very much underground, very much concrete, slick underground. So every time we had reference to elements of the Umbrella Corporation, I took the design cues from there. We kept it slick, we kept it very gray, concrete, cold.
The first one all took place underground in the hive, so it was very self-contained. We've now gone above ground. To do that, we basically have to take over a major North American city, which we've done with Toronto.
Toronto is a pretty good city for it because Raccoon City is supposed to be this sort of middle American city, not too recognizable. It's sort of a generic, fabricated city. The architecture of Toronto could be parts of Chicago, bits of it could be like New York, but as a whole, it isn't either of those. It's a lot smaller. It's something that you can imagine could be a little more contained, like the script said. SARS hit Toronto quite badly in 2003, and the movie industry went way down. A lot of movies did not come. This was one of the few movies that actually did come.
Toronto has been remarkable. I can't believe any other city in the world would be as supportive. We have been filming outside City Hall for 2 weeks. We've had gunfire, helicopters.
We closed down a major bridge to a whole section of town that was pretty much the only artery there, and we closed it down for 3 days.
Shutting down blocks and blocks of city streets so that we can do running gun battles and fighting between the undead.
We could do anything in the city, destruction, flames, burning cars and all that, and that was one of the reasons that we shot it there.
The way it works in the art department is we read the script, we have some quick discussions with Alexander, and then I go away on my own and I sort of look at references that we've discussed, and I come up with certain sketches and then 3D ideas. And I've sort of modeled quite crudely in 3D on a computer program various schemes, several different schemes for a particular set. And then what happens is I'll bring Alexander in, we look at it, we look at the angles that we can see whether we need a complete set or we need like 3 walls of a set.
With the help of computer, he always managed to, in 3-dimensional, show me how the sets were going, how the actors were going to act inside certain sets, or showing me camera angles that I could create later in real life.
It was great working with Alexander because he's a very visual guy. We'd be looking over here and he'd go, well, what about if we go over there and look from there? And I mean, he was fearless. He'd always be hanging off the edge of the building where it'd be top of the skyscrapers, looking, saying, well, let's do this crazy move, moving the camera down here or having her run down the side of the building. When we came to the exterior City Hall, we were looking in the city for a location that gave us a very open plaza, concrete gray, steel, very cool colors. We had massive helicopters flying in that literally were able to fly in. We had little helicopter gunships flying around, buzzing around, and we had to have a safe place to do that. It was amazing that we were able to do that actually at the Toronto City Hall. It was very gracious of them to let us do such a thing. There was an important scene in the game where there's a helicopter gunship strafing across a glass corridor with Alice running through it and then diving out of the way at the last second. But it didn't have this corridor or anything like that. So I looked at the existing thing and we created our own complete corridor. We added these massive concrete piers and a big, long, curved glass corridor with water in it for reflections. And all the glass broke in the same timing as a helicopter strafing across with the stunt girl running through the corridor, exactly like the scene in the game. Sometimes the design had to alter a little bit to allow for certain stunt rigs. Fire things, explosions, not always just about the look of the set for me, it's about everyone else's requirements. There's a lot of departments have to be involved before the final design can be executed. And once we've settled on that, then it goes down to the construction department. This movie had a few more location builds than we normally do. I mean, big scale builds over a very short period of time.
I suppose the most challenging would have to be Alice's introduction in the church. There isn't a church in the world that'll let us shoot this thing.
7 weeks to build it. And it probably had about 100 people working on it at the most. Carpenters, painters, gripped rigging. It was a very large set, went right to the ceiling of the studio, and we had full ceiling and everything. I felt that it should be a dark kind of stone, a little more gothic church to give it that little more creepy feeling, because they come in here at this point as a little refuge. It's dark, there's strange noises, and you want little nooks and crannies and things like that to hide behind, and just that dark sort of gothic feel. I ended up looking at old books from churches in England, and I found some interesting woodcuts of carved wooden angels sticking out of the rafters up high, and I thought it'd be kind of interesting to juxtapose, our devilish creatures, when they're running around the rafters with a pristine carved wooden angel up there, and they're not sure what they're seeing. A lot of stunts take place in the church. This is the big opening for Milla's entrance into the church. She crashes through in a motorcycle. We tried different candy glass, different types of plastic in front of things. I had a real stained glass artist draw up a watercolor that we then scanned, created basically a giant slide of each of the panels. And then from that, we stuck those behind a vac-formed plastic that gave us that texture. We layered that on top of the slide, and then on top of that, we put the fake leaded glass look. And then behind that, we put breakaway glass that really doesn't hurt anyone. And then we had to score individually, carefully, all the little pieces of the image and then the plastic in front of the image in the same way, and then carefully tack them all with hot glue back again, and gingerly put them all back in. And then the stunt came through and smashed it all to smithereens, and then we had to do it all over again. We did it twice. I hope that when an audience walks away from this movie, they thought that we were fairly true to the game, and they walk away happy. Oh, I hope that people who didn't know the game just thought it was a great visual movie and they didn't know where the influences came from.